Every cattle farmer knows how much work raising cattle is. Working cattle is stressful. The adrenaline is high. The stakes are higher. But when it all comes together, you feel pride. You get the same feeling putting on a farm show.
Thanks, have a great day.
It really depends on the
range from 300.
So we're really excited to announce that
Coming with a mop. Slowly clicking. A matter of.
For 3 days every July, a Saskatchewan village springs to life with hundreds of acres of crops, equipment, and animals, and thousands of people. This is Ag in Motion, Western Canada's largest outdoor farm show. In this series, you'll hear from the people running the show, the editors that cover this once-a-year event, the exhibitors who keep coming back, and farmers who gather to check out new farm solutions. Pulling off a show this size is no small feat. In this episode, we get a glimpse of the ways Western Canadian livestock producers deal with turning high risk into low stress scenarios for themselves and for their animals. When it comes to keeping people and animals safe on the site, the organizing team leans on their farming experience to turn high stakes into low stress for everyone who comes to the show.
I'm Rob O'Connor. I'm the show director at Glacier Farm Media. So with the purebred Hereford cattle, I'm the third generation and my daughters will be the fourth generation. My grandfather had some, my father, he had some. My mother and father met and married, obviously, and then brought the two herds together. And they lived in Ontario for a while and then moved back to Saskatchewan, moved back to Ontario, moved back to Saskatchewan. So we've been around both the east and the western part of this country.
I'm Melanie Ochtois, lead of exhibitor sales and programming at Ag in Motion. So I was born and raised on a family farm in a small town in east central Manitoba. And so agriculture has always been part of my life. So that's kind of my early history in agriculture. And for the last 10 and a half years, I've worked for a few different egg manufacturers in the Regina area.
It's the day before the show, and Rob and Melanie have encountered a safety situation for two 10-year exhibitors during show setup.
What are the chances we could move that thing?
That's going to be pretty tough.
Well,
We got the semi that's got to rotate around in there, and we got the tractors driving around.
Okay, let's go take a look then.
What do we have for extra generators? We don't, hey?
No, we're
Tight?
that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the weight of the equipment over top of it's going to
But no,
wreck
if
the
we
wire.
move this cable,
Right.
could it run on the front? Because I think if we could run it on the front side.
There's just not that much to give. Hey, I have a little issue. It's a little bigger than a little issue over at booth 728 at Neralta. But let's see what Coral and Braden might have to say. Maybe they know something that we don't, that will help us out. So what we've just done is we're going to get our electrical crew out here. Coral and Braden will come look at it. So the issue is, like, we need power to the drone demos. Now obviously we need power to the bar. So we're going to talk about how we can make this change.
My dad always said if there was never problems, there'd never be solutions, right?
That's a good
Here,
point.
I'll give you my contact information in
thank
case you need to
Right
give me a ring or,
Good.
yeah.
I appreciate you
Yeah.
coming down. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just thinking.
Good.
Okay.
So after he staked all this out, why the hell don't we just flip them?
Because it's the drone demo, like, and it's really the airspace that they have to fly.
Right, but if we can tell Neralta, okay guys, during that, don't go out there, then we should be just the same. We just moved it 170 feet. We'll just get them to say, okay, we won't operate for half an hour. Then we don't have to move all this.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. The
Because what
only
they can do is
thing
they can, this
is,
cord can then get moved over here.
the only thing is there's an electrical box there that is set up. That's for the drone demonstration
We're
exhibitors.
gonna put it right here.
All right.
Okay.
So as they finish, we'll be starting. Hey, Ed, hold off. We're not parking there.
I think we're going to do a swap here.
We're getting the green grass.
Okay, but just, I gotta talk to the electricians
Yeah.
first. Hello, Rob O'Connor speaking. I just went there. I think it's just as simple as popping that out, bringing it over
and
here.
everything should be able to move that way, and you got both booths covered.
Well, and then also then the power's over here instead of running along here.
Okay.
And I think that will be good. Okay, so you've got
I've got
the
it.
solution. I'm going to go deal with that.
Okay, sounds good.
And then hopefully when I'm done, you guys are done. I think that's
Okay,
her coming
that's
up.
good.
Thank you very much, by the way.
Yep,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Okay, so we're good.
Okay.
They've agreed. They're good to leave you guys on the corner. So
Perfect.
we're gonna measure 30 feet from the road.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there's
you'll
a
have
stake
to.
there
Yeah,
already.
there's a stake.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So okay, perfect. So
There's a little pink flag there.
yeah,
We're-
okay, that's great.
And our vehicles right now we'll just move
Yeah,
our vehicles out.
and then Neralta is going to be like they'll butt up right beside you guys and come this way.
So it's all good.
All right,
Great.
excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I think that works out all right. The initial problem is the electrical space was in Neralta's booth space. So just to solve that problem, we are going to do a little bit of a booth swap between a couple exhibitors, and that should solve our electrical being right in the middle of a booth space.
Yeah, so this is really about two things. One, it's about safety, first of all. And second of all, it's about something being damaged. So if we would have left this here and they would have driven over it, it would have crushed the wire inside that casing. And we don't want that. And the second thing is, if there was a point where one of those actually did get split and somebody accidentally hit it, then we could have an injury. So we've avoided having an injury. We've avoided having some damage to our equipment.
It's day one, and the gates have opened. The organizers get ready to shepherd thousands of visitors through Ag in Motion's gates, temporary roads, livestock exhibits, and pens. Producers come to see live handling demonstrations with cattle and sheep, plus animal health, crop and feed mixing displays that can be uniquely displayed in the large areas of this outdoor farm show.
I'm Lisa Gunther. I'm the editor of Canadian Cattleman magazine. Well, I grew up on a cow-calf operation and then went off to university. I worked for Alberta Agriculture for a few years right out of school. And then I decided I was in Edmonton at that time, and like a lot of Saskatchewan kids of that generation, I decided to move home. So I moved back to my home community and started freelance writing. Most of my contacts were in agriculture, so I was freelancing for different farm publications, including Grain News and Country Guide, which are owned by Glacier Farm Media. And I just kind of worked my way into a staff reporter position and then eventually became the editor of Canadian Cattleman. I mean, Cattleman's not the only publication at Glacier Farm Media. There's also Country Guide and The Producer and Grain News, and all these publications have a history of high editorial standards, and I just feel that's really important. So farmers know that they're getting reliable information. I want to do a really good job for our readers, and I really care about the magazine being of high enough quality for them. So what they're going to get is reliable information and like the latest research that's going to help them make better decisions. I think that's the bottom line. That's really our goal with the magazine. Farmers and ranchers spend most of their year alone on their own operation, but farm shows like Ag in Motion give them a chance to come in and connect with other producers and, see what's new and learn. I think the connection is important because first of all, it's just good to connect to your community, wherever that might be, and it might be pretty widespread sometimes. But also people learn from their peers, just like any other profession, and farming and ranching is no different that way. Ag in Motion adds value because it lets you see things in practice. So whether it's livestock demos, machinery demos, the crop plots, you get to see what it actually looks like, how it works, if it's a new variety or a different variety, how it grows, and so it's practical, hands-on kind of information.
Tim Andrew is a rancher and one of the owners of TL Andrew Livestock. Tim brings a number of his prized cattle to Ag in Motion every year to help demonstrate safe, low-stress livestock handling equipment.
It's one of the highlights of our year. We're commercial cattlemen.
Yeah.
Is the base of our operation, and to be able to present them in front of a large commercial audience like this is just invaluable to us and to the breed. Well, if someone's going to take the time and effort to come all the way to, to this show, they've come in with a mindset that they're looking for opportunities to improve the profitability of their operation.
Tell me a little bit about your cattle. Like, we're going to talk about low stress livestock handling, but I think the first time I met you, I was quite impressed just walking through them with how quiet they are. But tell me how you kind of get them that way. Is it genetic selection, or how you handle them, or all the above?
You just need to be aware of your stock. There's leaders, there's followers. You need to identify those, and then you need to manage the flight zone. I mean, just like when you're on the subway and I get like this close to you, you're not comfortable. No. So when I get to there, I've got to recognize that I'm there, and then I've got to give some release, because if I'm just going to keep pushing, that animal's going to get really agitated, really stressed, and they're going to move away, and they're going to move away. And every time you work with that animal, you're imprinting on them their next opportunity to work with you.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to accomplish with what we call, what everybody calls low stress handling. It's just to manage that flight zone. Well, these cattle that come to the show, we want them to be very, very responsive to us. So we've been training on these bulls for a week, and it doesn't happen by action. They're stock. They need to be trained.
Right. Yeah, just for safety, and obviously to get them, like you said, where you want them to be, to do whatever their job is here, right?
Well, exactly. It's not doing anybody a service, whether it's the exhibit, the people that have brought their handling equipment, or ourselves, or our breed, if we're bringing stuff that isn't going to create a positive experience.
So I think that conversation with Tim, the livestock producer whose cattle we're looking at, is a perfect example about open-mindedness and learning. I'd never thought of it actually until he pointed it out, but people who come here, they're maybe more commercial, and they're commercial producers, and they're looking to learn new things, and possibly from different breeds, maybe from the livestock demos. And so yeah, I think there is a culture of open-mindedness here.
Low stress is not only for cattle, it applies to all livestock.
So Myrna, tell me a little bit about your sheep handling system here today.
Yeah, well, the sheep handling system is called the Ritchie Combi Clamp, and it's invented in New Zealand originally, but it's manufactured in Scotland, and they ship that to our part of the world. We've had sheep and our goats for many years, so we just look for better ways to handle sheep. And sometimes we have to look a little further abroad to where they have a lot of sheep, and that's kind of how we came up with the system.
And so we know low-stress livestock handling is a growing approach, I guess. How is the equipment promote that?
Yeah, so we did actually have Dr. Temple Grannon come out and look at the system in Edmonton at a goat event, and she definitely recommended it as a less stressful handling system for a variety of reasons. One of them is livestock like to follow each other, so the sheep can follow the sheep right in front of them, and there's not gate slamming in their face. And also for trimming their feet. You don't have to flip them to trim their feet. You can leave them in that standing position, and that position of control. So that's definitely something that also helped to make it less stressful for the livestock.
What are some of the features that make it safe for people as well? What are the safety features?
You've got good leverage, which you're on the outside of the pen. You're not having to manhandle the sheep. We have people in the older generation that want to stay in agriculture and are able to do so because they now have a system that's much easier on their back, for example, because you're mostly rotating your upper body. So you're not having to bend over and hurt your back. So people say they can do 1,000 a day and their back doesn't bother them. So just physically, it's helpful that way. And it's just mentally, we've had a vet that we know quite well tell us if anybody wants to know how the combi clamp saved their marriage, they can give them a call. So yeah, there's also that whole frustration that happens that way, but just also physically you're separate from where the livestock are. You're not in the same pen, you're just walking alongside, and and working with their flow. And then for the sheep themselves, they're just being squeezed in there, so it's kind of like they're just getting a big hug.
Yeah.
And they're not having to have a big stressful situation for them.
Yeah, anything else you want to add about this system that people should know about?
Yeah, well, it's been incredible. I mean, I can't take credit for it because I didn't invent it, but there's so many customers that have come back to us and just thanked us, and they just said this has just been a game changer for them. So it's just exciting to be part of something to help keep people in the industry longer and just making it more enjoyable for them and less stressful for the livestock.
Part of sharing game-changing technologies with farmers at the show is a celebration of innovation in agriculture the night before Ag in Motion. Here, companies introduce the latest ideas and products in farming to create solutions for Canadian farmers. Next, we talk with one of the Innovation Award finalists about a new tool they've introduced for livestock producers.
So Bob, congratulations. You were a finalist in the Ag Innovations program for your beef monitoring equipment. Just tell us a little bit about this and what it does.
Beef monitor unit, effectively it's aimed at the beef finishing market. Primary purpose of the beef monitor is to improve the margin for the beef finisher. What we're able to do is weigh an animal automatically with no human intervention at all. And in essence, I keep on saying to people, we are actually doing our farming by coming to these events. We're doing our ploughing, cultivation, sowing seeds, and hopefully, Lisa, when we're here, we can get the germination going. And like a farmer, often we have to wait on harvest.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you, and that is, if we're not here doing that ploughing, cultivating, sowing seeds, nothing will grow.
Yeah.
There's a number of benefits with the beef monitor unit. That one factor is time, the other factor is health and safety. Temperament of cattle has changed a lot over the past few decades, and health and safety becomes a greater issue. And very importantly, we also have an alert which will tell you if an animal is starting to lose weight. And we've experienced this with a number of producers whereby we've seen weight loss long before the producer would actually see clinical signs of weight loss. So an early intervention for something like pneumonia is very achievable. There's a lot of possibilities here with the beef monitor.
Highline Manufacturing is a long-standing Ag in Motion exhibitor who appreciates the chance they get to talk with producers and answer their questions at the show.
We have our engineers here, we have me as a nutritionist here, and we can talk about any aspect of cattle production that they want to talk about. So we get that opportunity, which is really valuable to us. Farmers work hard, and their heads are down most of the time. And this is their opportunity. It's not just an opportunity to look at technology, it's a day off. And so they're in a completely different mindset. They're ready to take in information. They've been gathering questions in their head over the whole year, maybe 2 years. And then they'll say, we're going to this show, we're going to talk to the Highline guys, and we're going to get some information.
I think a lot about what benefit we're bringing to farmers. It's almost an existential question because I like to do meaningful work, and we're providing a lot of business information for farmers, a lot of production information to help them make decisions on their own operation, and also just keeping them informed of what's happening in the beef industry. So the thing that's important about mindset, it applies to Ag in Motion, but honestly, I think it applies to everything in life, right? Like if you think that you already know everything, I can't really help you. But if you have that mindset of continuous learning, people talk about that a lot, that's going to serve you really well in farming and ranching because things are always changing, and hey, somebody else has got an idea that can help you do things better, like guaranteed. You might not apply it the exact same way on your operation, but there's always ways to improve, and farmers and ranchers have to because it's a really competitive industry. You know, like they don't just get a raise every year. They're dependent on markets and weather, and there's all kinds of wild cards in there. So it's a really tough industry to make a profit in. So they have to have that mindset for sure.
I love it changes all the time. I'm not the kind of person who could just sit there and build the same thing over and over and over. And there's lots of people who can, but I'm not that kind of person. I like to see something different every day. That's the same as why I have cattle. Every day with the cattle, something's different. So being able to look at all the different situations we have throughout the entire year, the planning cycle, the delivery of this show, plus Canada's Outdoor Farm Show, the constant change, and it's a little bit of an adrenaline rush, I think. I really do enjoy that.
Stay tuned for episode 2 of Welcome to the Farm Show, Licensed to Drive. You'll join senior editor Scott Garvey on a test drive. You'll also see how Scott does in a skid steer and excavator competition with Western producer-editor Robin Booker. And here is Lisa weighing in about driving heavy equipment.
And then of course, I think the demos are fun. Like if you're into heavy machinery and you get to go try that stuff out, like that's kind of fun too, I think, right? I personally would never try to drive a skid steer because I'm not a machinery person, but it's great if you're in the market to try stuff out, right?